Welcome back to my channel. I wasn't going to do another video on atheism, but I received a comment on that video that, I really liked it. I think, I was hoping in my other videos um, I would expect the ones that criticize me and would call me stupid um, but I was hoping for a more intelligent dialogue. And now, admittedly, this comment agrees with me. But I thought it was very good, and I want to read it and comment on it as I'm going along. This is by somebody at Cisco West. Atheism is simply belief based on faith that God doesn't exist. The problem with the lack of belief definition is that it doesn't fit atheism. If someone truly had a lack of belief, they really wouldn't care. Someone with a lack of belief would invite themselves into a common thread regarding someone asking for prayer or a statement of faith and comment, your sky daddy, or whatever strawman argument, doesn't exist. This doesn't sound like someone with lack of belief. That's a statement based on a position taken that God doesn't exist. And that's absolutely right. These atheists that use this, and this is one of those frustrating things where people change words, definitions, because now I have a definition that I can defend, or it'll give me an out somehow. It's like when atheists say that atheism is not is a religion, like bald is a hairstyle. You know, because they don't want to be lumped in with religion, but it is a religion, and there's a lot of faith that goes into it. If they were to argue for science, strictly science, that's arguing for one thing that doesn't even have anything to do with God. I remember somebody saying, well, how do you prove anything? Can you prove that I love my wife? Well, there are ways of showing evidence for that, but you can't do it with science. There are things that you can't prove with science, and this is one of them. Although, and he says this later on, that science kind of backs us up, and it's more. Here's Let me keep reading this real quickly. And someone truly with lack of belief would be more in line with agnostic. With an agnostic, that's absolutely right, which doesn't know if God exists or not. Someone with a lack of belief would be more in a position where they're gathering the facts to make a determination based on the information. That's contrary to atheism, where the faith-based position has been taken that God doesn't exist. And one of the definitions when I started this, I said very simply in one of the my first video that an atheist is someone, and from the word atheism is atheism means not or no, and theism of course is God. That God doesn't exist, or I do not. Someone that doesn't believe in God. And I just thought that was, not very controversial, but apparently it is. Apparently people do not like that, and not everyone. Like I said, the most prominent atheist, and I can't remember his name. I wish I would have looked it up. Um, but he has a different definition. The most prominent the atheist, the young guy, what they used to call they sometimes call the fifth horseman of the new atheism, O'Connor. He doesn't like being part of the fourth horseman. He believes it's a different path, but he likes the lack of belief definition. And one of the problems with that is that would then include a 4-year-old child who has no interest or has made no inquiries, but he has lack of belief, and so he would be considered an atheist. And the thing is, like this guy says, you have, if once you um, answer in the affirmative, the contrary to atheism, where the faith-based position has been taken. Yeah, they've made a determination, and so now it's on you. Now you have taken something on. You know. By the way, the woman at CERN, her name is Fabiola Gionati, something like that, and she is a physicist. And she was asked about that, and she said there's no conflict between faith and science. They're two totally different things. You know. Anyway, let me keep reading this. This is, I really appreciate this comment. This is in line with my thinking. And this is, I actually try to be very generous to atheists because I think that they have a huge problem. And the problem comes when they make an acknowledgement that God doesn't exist. If you're saying I don't know, that's fine. You don't know. But once you've taken a position, then you would have to defend it. The person that's making the argument in the affirmative that God exists, the the challenges on him, right, to uh, answer it. But once somebody's made the determination in the other direction, then they have to do it also. Secondly, science is in conflict with atheism. If you're going to beat the drum of science, you have to have an open mind and are interested in absorbing information to form a conclusion or hypothesis or theory, etc. Atheism arrogantly proclaims God doesn't exist. End of conversation. That's in stark contrast with science. And I mentioned at one point that science kind of backs me up. And for, these people that bring up the lack of intellect, people are stupid, they make these when the Big Bang was being debated or was brought up as a theory by Georges Henri Lemaitre, and he was debating, I think, Fred Hoyle. Fred Hoyle was an atheist, and when it was discovered that the Big Bang theory was likely true, it shook Fred Hoyle so much he declared himself an agnostic. Okay, he was an astrophysicist, I believe. That's huge. Okay, he got it. I totally understand where he is, right? And before that, the idea was that there was a steady state theory that the universe existed forever. Now, it may be that it existed, that something existed forever, but not this universe. There was a beginning, and everything came from the singularity and the mass not being able to contain itself or whatever it was. It wasn't even mass or matter. I don't know how you could even measure it. There was no time. People say before the Big Bang, it's like, well, there was nothing there. But all those things, and the argument that I believe is the most powerful is the same one that Christopher Hitchens believed was the one that he thought was the strong one, which is the fine-tuning argument. That the beginning of that in the 14 or 13.9 billion years that the universe is old, and the 4 billion years that the Earth has been in existence, that the probability that we would be here, there was the Big Bang, forming of hydrogen, and then from hydrogen the perfect way so that all the other elements came into existence, just as if it had been planned to be that way, just as if that's the way the laws of physics would work, and they were predetermined. And the big one, I think, or probably a huge one, is abiogenesis. How did inorganic matter become organic matter? Just like that, it just happened. And that's not a proof. That's just an argument, but it's a pretty damn strong argument. Somebody that and the other one that I brought up, this O'Connor, he was arguing somebody else. I think it was Ben Shapiro, and they both agreed that if there's no God, there is no free will. And that's a huge challenge to the atheist, that you don't believe that you have free will. And he acknowledged that. Okay. As a believer, I believe in free will. As an atheist, and I believe in reason. As an atheist, you would have to believe that your reason is an illusion. And that's a huge, huge challenge. Anyway, I appreciate this. Let me read the last paragraph. Atheists want to pit science against God. However, the notion that one must choose between God and science is like demanding a choice between Henry Ford and the Model T to account for the auto industry. The atheist doesn't have science in his back pocket. And with that, I'll leave it. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and a like, and I'll see you in the next video.